Hi, I am Bhavik Thakkar. Welcome to Btitude. If you're more comfortable with Hindi language, please hit the I button and watch the Hindi version of exact same video. But if you are comfortable with English, just carry on. Well, in this particular video, we are going to solve some very important questions from exam point of view for the topic of simple interest and compound interest. Now, of course, you are supposed to know the basics, the fundamentals of simple interest and compound interest, right? And in case you think that merely knowing the formula is going to be sufficient to answer those questions, you are really mistaken. Of course, knowing this formula can answer the question, but it will simply kill your time because the kind of questions that I am talking about are the questions that are really asked in various competitive exams, and applying this traditional method will simply take a lot of time, maybe I would say 5 times the time that is really ideal to solve this kind of the questions. So we cannot afford it. So what exactly is the thing that we need to know? Well, you need to know the exact system how simple interest and compound interest work. If you know that system, now here I have taken a very simple example where 1000 rupees is actually invested at 10% for 3 years. So how exactly this system work in simple interest and in compound interest? If you can understand this pattern, believe me, that is all at Btitude we need to know. This thing will take us to distance. We will be able to answer all those questions easily, and that is what we are going to do. We are actually going to apply those Btitude shortcuts to answer the real exam questions, right? Very important from next competitive exams as well, because these are the hot questions that are asked and they are according to the recent trends. Fine? And believe me, the methods that we are going to use are going to be extraordinary and yet simple. They are very simple. If you understand them, it's pretty simple and still very effective because it will get your answers just in seconds. So, if you are really ready, and if you are really ready to, master the art of solving questions of simple interest and compound interest, let's get started. Okay, so let's start our questions one by one and let's experience the amazing methods to solve these questions. Let's start with the first questions. You know it, right? First, you should pause it to do it on your own because that is how you learn it the best, right? Because learning starts with thinking. So first, you need to think. Alright, then I'll simply solve this. Let us assume that you already got the answer. Let's have an idea how this question can be solved with Btitude method. Now let's try to understand the difference between CI and SI for 2 years is given, right? Now from this itself, if the difference between 2 years is 60, you must be able to think something. Next, if the simple interest for 3 years is also given, then the rate percentage. Now, you don't need to apply any formula. From here, you should know that if 3 years the interest is 2160 for 2 years. Why 2 years? Because that is what it is given, right? For 2 years, the simple interest is going to be, of course, 2/3 of this. So I think 720 into 2, 1440, right? This should be the interest for 2 years. Are you getting this? That shows your hold. If you really understand the system of simple interest, you know that interest is directly varies with the number of years, right? Because it is same every year. So if for 3 years it is 2160, for 1 year it has to be 720, for 2 years it has to be 1440. So each year, as you understood, it is 720, right? Now compound interest, because it says is 60 rupees more. That means first year there is no difference. Of course, here you are getting 60 rupees more, right? So here you should be able to understand that whatever 60 rupees you are getting is the interest of interest. So that you are getting on this, right? 60 as compared to 720. What is that rate? 6 by 72, 1 by 12. 1 by 12 is nothing but 8, 1 by 3%. That's about it. That is your rate percent. And what was the question? The rate percent is. That's your answer. right? And actually I explain you each and everything right now. Otherwise I would simply do it Okay, it has to be 720, but it is 60 more there. So 60 on 720, 1 by 12. You hardly needed a pen. Are you getting this? Within 10 seconds, you can answer this question if you can think something like this. Again, I am repeating it. If you are good with your system, if you are good with your understanding of simple interest and compound interest system, you can actually understand that if 3 years the interest is 2160, that means every year you are getting 720. Just for the sake of understanding, I am writing every year I am getting 720, right? But it says the difference between compound interest, that means compound interest is always more, 60 rupees more, and for first term it is always equal. So whatever 60 rupees you are getting is in the second year, right? So you are getting the 60 rupees as an interest on interest. The interest is 720. So 60 on 720 is nothing but 1 by 12. So rate percentage is 81/3%. Fine. So again, try to understand. I explained you each and everything, but in exam, you would simply think, okay, every year it has to be 720, and if you are getting this 60 more in the second year, that has to be interest on interest. That means 60 on 720 is nothing but 1 by 12, 81/3%. That's about it. Fine. That is all you can do. Let's move to the second question. Again, think on your own how you will be able to answer this question. Let me try it for you. Look, let's have a look at the question. The compound interest for 2 years is given as 832 and simple interest is given as 800. Now for 2 years, right? The difference between compound interest and simple interest for 3 years will be. Now as soon as I look at the question, I know simple interest is always equal. So if 2 years it is 800, it has to be 400, 400. And compound interest, first year it is always equal to simple interest, but total is 832. That means next year it is 432, right? Now as soon as I have a look at it, I understand one thing. What is that understanding? That the rate has to be 8%, right? Because I am getting 32 rupees more on the previous interest, 400. It's the same concept. So I understand the rate of interest is 8%. As soon as I write this much, right here, it is increasing by 8%. Now, you know it, right? Compound interest, if the rate of interest is 8%, every year it would keep increasing by 8%. So that means in third year also, it will increase by 8%. Now, how would you calculate 8%? 8% is nothing but 10% minus 2%. 10% will be 433.2, right? And 2% will be 4.32 into 2. Now, basic percentage you should be aware of. So that would be 8.64. So, you know, this way you can easily find out, right? So I would say minus 9 plus 0.36 I would do. So minus 9 will be 34.20 plus 0.36 will be 0.56. So the final interest would be this plus this, right? Plus 8% of this. That means it would be 466.56. So total interest. Now I'm not supposed to even write down total interest. All I'm asked is what would be the difference between simple interest and compound interest. So here the difference was 32 and here the difference is 66 point, because here still simple interest will always be the same. So difference is 66.56. So total difference is nothing but 98.56. That's about it, right? So that's the beauty of Btitude shortcut method. All you need to understand is that pattern. If you are understanding that pattern, how the system actually work, you will understand that first year, look, first understanding is simple interest is always same for each and every year, right? Second, for first year, simple interest or first term, if it is half year is your term, then whatever is the term, first term, simple interest and compound interest is going to be same. Next year, it is going to increase by R%, whatever that percentage is. Here, it was 8% because we understood it is increasing by 8%. So, again, it will increase by 8%. That's about it. Just a bit of calculation and you get your answer. So, compare this with the method that you might have applied and you would understand the difference, right? Alright, then the answer was 98.56. Pretty easy to figure it out. Let's move forward to the next question. Again, pause the video, try to do it on your own. First, let's understand the Btitude shortcut method to answer this question. If the compound interest for 2 years at 12% is this, what should be the simple interest, right? Now, as soon as I look at it, I would understand that, okay, 12%, that means 12 by 100, or you can say 3 by 25. right? You can understand this. So I understood the pattern. I understood the pattern that compound interest increases by 3 on 25. So first year, if it was 25, second year, it would be 28 because it has to increase by 12%. I know the pattern, right? Are you getting it? If you know the pattern, it is as simple as that. If you understand that when rate of interest is 12%, that means every year your interest in compound interest system will increase by 12%. So all you need to do is to take one example where this is happening. I could understand 12% increase means 3 increase on 25. So if first year the interest was 25, next year it would be 28. On the other hand, simple interest always remains same. That means it has to be 25 and 25, right? So for corresponding compound interest of 53, your simple interest is going to be 50. So here it is 371. What is going to be your simple interest? I think it has to be in some table. 50 into 7 maybe 350. Yes, it is into 7. So 50 into 350 is your answer. Are you getting this? How easy it could get? If only if you understand that pattern, you don't need any damn formula. You know the pattern, you just apply it. Something like this. You understand it that okay, if rate of interest is 12%, that means compound interest has to increase by 12%. So look, it's not necessary to take the similar example. You could have also taken that compound interest is 100 and 112. Fair enough, right? Don't worry that sir, how would I be able to figure it out 3 by 25? It's the same thing. Fine. You could also think something like this. First year it was 100, now it has to increase by 12%, 112. On the other end, simple interest would always be 100. So that means as compared to compound interest, which is 212, simple interest has to be 200, right? 100 plus 100. Here it is 371. Then how much? Even if you cross multiply this, you are going to get the same answer, right? So it need not be like this is the only method. Just try to understand the fundamental. The fundamental was compound interest has to increase by 12% every year. Just take that kind of an example and compare your replica to our number given in the question. Fair enough, right? So wonderful, isn't it? Let's move to the next question. Fourth question, again, you can pause the video and think about it. Let us have an idea how we can actually solve it using Btitude shortcut method. Compound interest for 3 years at this percentage is given as this, then what should be the SI? Now, obviously, had it been SI, I know it is always equal, but here the compound interest always increases by 12.5%, or in other words 1/8, right? So I would simply take an example of compound interest which can increase by 1/8 for 2 more years, right? First year I will assume something, but 2 more years. So I would think, what about assuming first year interest is 8 square, 64. If just try to understand, if compound interest was 64 in the first year, it was increased by 1/8. That means 1/8 of 64 is 8. It would become 72. Next year again, it was increased by 1/8 of this. 1/8 of this is 9. It would become 81. Are you getting this? Right. So, you know, how did I figure it out? I just had to take an example where the calculation becomes easy. That means where finding 12.5% is not an issue. It should be an easy job. That means a number had to be assumed so that its 1/8 would have been easily figured out, right? And for 2 times, right? Because in total there are 3 years. So if I am assuming something, 1/8 of this and again 1/8 of this. So 2 times I had to do it. So I had to assume kind of a figure which could be divided by 8 for 2 times. That means 8 square. Are you getting it? So once you are familiar with this kind of the method, or I would say trick, right? It becomes very easy, because now, you know, I explain you all the things, but in exam you would simply say, okay, 1/8, 64, 72, 81. Now, obviously, SI would be same. That means 64, 64, 64, right? Sorry. So that means 192 when the compound interest is actually 217. So when compound interest is 217, simple interest is 192. Here, compound interest is 1302. 1302. What will be the corresponding simple interest? Just cross multiply, or maybe, is it into 6? 2 into 6, 12, and 17 into 6. Yeah, it is into 6. So 192 into 6. That means 1200 minus 48 1152 will be your answer. So look, it all depends upon your calculation. You can actually cross multiply and figure it out, but I can understand into 6. So 192 into 6. How will I do it? 200 minus 8, right? 192 is 200 minus 8 into 6 means 1200 minus 48. There you go, right? So you hardly needed a pen, like just a little bit, and that's about it, right? Wonderful. So look, as you can see, all the questions are done in the same method. We don't have to understand anything else, just one understanding that simple interest is always same and compound interest always increases by whatever the percentage given. Just using that fundamental, we are answering all the questions without formula, something like this. All right, then let's move forward to the next question. Look, first, your basic understanding of simple interest and compound interest has to be there. Otherwise, you cannot understand this. All right. So hopefully you could pause the video and find the answer on your own first. Let's understand how we can actually answer this. The difference between compound interest and simple interest at 20% for 3 years is given, right? So again, I would take an example. 20% is nothing but 1/5, right? So I had to understand that I have to take example of compound interest in such a manner for first year, which can be 1/5 of which is easier to find out. That means which can be divided by 5 2 times. So 25. Let us assume it to be 25. So next year, if first year compound interest is 25, it is going to increase by 1/5 every year, right? So 25 plus 1/5 of 25 is 5, 30, 30 plus 1/5 of 30 is 6, so 36, and SI will always be the same. That means 25, 25 and 25. So this is the replica to which we can compare our figure. Now here they are saying the difference is this. I would say in my replica the difference is actually, what is the difference? Difference is actually 16. If this 16 stands for 4864, right? Now find the sum. Sum means the amount that you have actually lent, the amount that is principal. What will be the principal here? Of course, 1/5. If 1/5 is 25, in our replica, if 1/5, right, interest is taken as 25, first year interest. So the principal has to be 125, because 125 is 1/5 is going to be 25. So if in our replica, whatever is given as a difference is 16, if that 16 actually stands for 4864, what would be this principal in real scenario stand for? Now here also you can understand 16 into 304, right? Into 304. So 125 multiplied by 304. And again, if you know, you don't have to do this. That's the beauty of this maths and beauty of this Btitude method. I've already taken one video, fine, on mental calculations. The first part I've given you some tricks. When you get to multiply something by 125, it's like divide by 8 and 3 zeros. So just divide this by 8, 304 divided by 8, 8 3s are 24, 64, 8 8s are and 30, 38,000. There you go, right? You don't have to multiply it all together if you understand the small trick. Fine. So that's about it, right? I hope you enjoyed this one as well. So, you know, again, all the questions are solved using the same technique. What is that technique? Again, try to understand. Simple interest is remaining same every year, but compound interest always increases by given percentage. In this particular case, 20%, that is 1/5, right? That's about it. Let's have a look at the next question. Again, think about it. Should be easy. I think pretty similar question, right? Just the rate percent is different. Hopefully you could figure it out. Let's have an idea. Look, again, it's the same thing, right? It's just that instead of 20%, this is 1/7. So if it is 1/7, I would take 7 square, right? 49 is my compound interest of the first year, or I would assume principal to be 7 cube, that is 343, because 1/7 of this will become this, right? So if principal is 343, compound interest will be 49 for the first year, and next it will keep increasing by 1/7 of it. So 1/7 of this is 7, it will become 56. 1/7 of 56 is 8, it will become 64. Simple interest on the other end is going to remain the same, that is 49, 49, 49, right? So what is the difference? The difference is nothing here, 7 here, and 15 here. So the difference actually is 22 in my case, right? For the 3 years. The 22 actually stands for 8184. 8184. Then what does 343 stand for, right? There you go. You can cross multiply, or if there is any, maybe 22 into something must be 8184 hopefully. Let's try to figure it out. 22 into 366, 158. 22 into 7, 154, 44, 22 twos are. So it is exactly into 372. Are you getting this? This 22 is 8184, that is exactly into 372. Oh, that's a big number, right? So 372 into 343. Now look, there are no options, but of course options will make it easy, because we'll simply understand the last digit has to be 6, right? Or maybe sum of digit kind of things. So there has to be some technique, some kind of easy method to figure it out. But right now maybe we are not given any option, but otherwise we can figure it out. The last digit has to be 6, right? Right now we don't have, so but it's easy. You will have to do one calculation, but that looks like it, right? There is no other option. That's kind of a really big figure. Yeah, because the difference between 3 years is given, so of course 7 plus 15, 22 is 8184. That's really a big number, but what can we do? If it is a big number, it has to be a big number. We'll have to do a bit of calculation, right? Any shortcut we can figure it out? Not, unfortunately not. Fine, there is not any shortcut. I mean, of course you can do around values like maybe around 400, but then options are not there. So right now options are not there, so you would have to do it accurately. Fine, but you should be able to figure it out. Let me also calculate on my own. Has to be 6. Around this 1,27,596. Hopefully I did it well. Look, I know a bit of Vedic maths, so I can do it even in one line. Depends, hardly matters, but should be around this, right? Hopefully there was no calculation mistake, but try to understand. It's not about calculation, it's all about understanding the concept and logic. Fair enough? All right, let's move to the next one. If you can do it. Compound interest is given as this, okay, and that of 3 years is this, then find the sum. Think about it, very interesting question. All right, fine, hopefully you could figure it out. Let's have a look how we can exactly do it. So look, for 2 years it is 900 and that of 3 years is given. So we can understand that for the first year we don't know, for the second year we don't know, but all together total is 900. And for the third year we are getting the interest as 507. Right? We don't know the first two interest. Total is 900 for sure, right? But third year interest is 507. Find that sum, find this sum here. What will be the principal? We are not even given any rate percent. But if you know, because we know the compound interest always increases by the same proportion, right? We can figure it out. We can think of some number here and there which would be in proportion with 507, and then it is easy. Now roughly 900, so 450, 450 if it would have been equal, right? If it would have been a simple interest, has to be 450, 450, but right now maybe it would be a bit here and there. Maybe this would be something less, this would be something more. So maybe 440 and 460, right? 450 minus 10, then 450 plus 10, because it has to increase. But try to understand the increase in proportion from here to here and here to here. Of course, this is much more increase. That means it has to be decreased further. Let's assume maybe 430 and say 470. Now, if I understand, this is almost 10% increase, right? 430, not exactly 10%, a bit less than 10%, isn't it? Right? 430 plus 40, yeah, it's a bit less than 10%. And from here, if I add 47, then it would be, no, it is just 37 is added. So even this doesn't work. So we have to figure it out some number, you know, in between, which will make sense. Maybe 436, so 6 more than this is 6 lesser, 464, Maybe 44, 48. It is 48 is added, right? Not 48, sorry, 28. 28 is added. 28 is 28 a factor of this? Try this. If it is, that means it is in some proportion. 28. Nah, 420 up to 420 it goes. Maybe let's try 432, right? So 4 lesser, then this will increase by 4, 468. So you know, are you getting this? If they are in the same proportion, then it will make sense. So what is the difference now? 36, right? 36. Is this in 36 table somehow? 36 into 12. 360 plus 72. Yes, it is. So 36 into 12 it is. So that means, are you getting it? I am getting 1/12 of the interest. Now this might be the case. So if 1/12 of this becomes this, then it is okay. 1/12 of this, let's try to understand. 1/12, 12 into 3, 36, 12 into 9. So this plus 39, is it this? Yes, it is, right? So that means, now do you understand this? This is very important. If you figure it out, now this was a bit trial and error, of course. It was a bit difficult question as well. Maybe this was a bit more difficult. Maybe it's for like mains exam kind of a question, like banks, fine, or maybe a CAT level question, but not the preliminary exam level of question, or not maybe in staff selection it won't be asked. It was really a difficult question, but if you really understand that pattern, again it's the same thing. What I told you, the compound interest increases by the same percentage, same proportion. So I just tried to figure it out. 900, I wanted to break it in two different parts in such a manner, like 450 is the middle one, right? So 450 minus something, then 450 plus, like 450 minus 18, then 450 plus 18. And if the difference is some part of this, like here it is 1/12, and 1/12 of this is this, and adding this, of course, they will make it easy number. So that they just want to check whether you have got that logic or not. Alright. Otherwise, you can also make an equation, something like this. 450 minus x to 450 plus x, right? Because this would be 450 minus x. This would be 450 plus x. These ratio would be, because here to here, whatever is the ratio has to be similar to here to here. So you will have to understand then 450 plus x to 507. Even if you would have solved this, okay, even if you would have solved this, you would get x is equal to 18. But that would be even lengthier. That's why I tried trial and error method. Even if you try this, you will get x is equal to 18. That means 450 minus 18, 432 you will get here. But the answer is yet not there. The answer is actually the principle. Now you also know that 1/12, right? 1/12 is your rate of interest. That means this is 1/12 of this, right? So 432 into 12. 432 into 12 will be 432 into 10 plus 432 into 2. So there you go. Last digit has to be 4. There is only one such number. That's about it. Fine. So wonderful question. Fine. I hope you can figure out something better. But I thought, like, as soon as I looked at the question, I thought this could be the method. But if you can think of something better, put it in the comments. Fine. Because even rate of interest was not given. So it was really difficult. Even if I go with the option, there was no way to figure it out. Right? Fine. So I think it has to be this way. And all I did, now you know. Fine. Go back and forth in the video. You can rewind, you can forward, and try to understand on your own as well. Alright then, let's move to the next question. Question number 8. Again, you can think of it on your own first. Alright. Let's have an idea how we can actually do it. Now the question says, the difference between simple interest and compound interest for 2 years is this, and for 3 years is this. Now just try to understand. We already know, right? When it was 1000 rupees and 10%, we know simple interest would be 100, 100 and 100. Compound interest would be 100, 110 and 120. When we know this basic stuff, right? Now just compare this to this. Here, the difference between simple interest and compound interest for 2 years was 10, right? Here it was 10, and for 3 years it was 10 plus 21, 31, right? So if somebody gives you only these two data and they are asking you to find out rate of interest, now because right now we know the rate of interest is 10%. You know what I'm doing? I'm just applying the similar question on the numbers that I know. I know if it was 1000 rupees, 10%, fine. Then I can make an example something like this. Within 10 seconds, I know this. And then I would understand if somebody gives me these data, not something like this, only these two, 10 and 31. And if I am supposed to find out the difference, can I make it? Can I figure it out? Of course you can. How? Look, if you really understand the difference here, it is very natural to be, because you know it is increasing by 10 here, right? So it was natural to increase by 10 anyway. 120 made sense. That extra 1 rupee is your interest on interest. If you understand that, look here. So that means 10 to 30 makes sense, because if the difference was 10 here, here it has to be double, 20, right? But that 1 extra rupee, so if you understand it, 10 into 3, 30, that 1 extra rupee on this 10%. Fine. Are you getting it? So if you compare these to our pattern, it becomes very easy. Again, I am telling you what is happening. The happening is, here you are getting 10 rupees as a difference. Now here you are getting, of course this 10 is the difference already for 3 years, but plus 21, 20 plus 1. 20 we can understand, because if it was 100, 110, 120 makes sense anyway. But that interest on interest is giving you 1 extra rupee. So in a way, 10 to 31, it is into 3 makes sense. But whatever is more than into 3, that is you are getting on this, right? So now if you understand 123 into 3, that means 369 makes sense anyway. But what is that additional distance? Additional difference is 41. That you are getting on this 123. This is exactly 1/3. That means rate of interest is 33.33%. As simple as that. Are you getting it? All we did was to compare it with our particular example that we know of. This is the basic example that we know, right? That if it was 1000 rupees and 10%, this is what happens. 2 years difference would be 10, 3 years difference would be 31. So here we can understand into 3 plus whatever it is that additional interest on this. 1 by 10, 10%. So here also we can say into 3 makes sense. Whatever is the additional interest is the interest on previous interest. That's about it. Fine. Very easy to figure it out. Let's move on. So in case you know next time this kind of the question is there, you would simply do into 3 is this the additional distance divided by 2 years difference. That's it. You get your rate. Fine. Let's understand the next question. Hopefully it is easy. Think about it on your own first. Fine. Let's try to do it with the Btitude shortcut method. The difference between for 2 years is given and for 3 years is also given. Find the sum. Find 2 years difference is given. 3 years difference is also given. Fine. Then find the sum, just a bit different. Here also 144 into 3, right? 144 into 3 would be 420, 432 I think. 420 plus 12, yes, 432. What is the extra? 9 rupees, right? That 9 rupees is we are getting on 144. Are you getting this? 9 rupees is on 144. That means 1 by 16. But this is the rate. 1 by 16 is the rate. 6 2 by 3% or 6 1 by 4%. Sorry. 6.25% is the rate. But we are not asked to find out the rate. We are rather supposed to find out the sum. So it's a bit different. Just the extension of the previous question. If you know the previous question, you can easily figure it out that the rate of interest is 6.25%. But now the question is, what is the sum? So now it shouldn't be a big problem, right? Because we know that if it is 1 by 16, right? Then we take CI as 16 and 17. However, SI will be 16 and 16. We know this, right? Because 1 by 16, that means interest you are be getting is 1 on 16. So if first year interest is 16, next year interest would be 17. You know this thing. Now, at least we have done lots of sums like this. So now we know, all right, that when, now look, if rate of interest is 1 by 16, that means your principal is actually 16 square, right? 256. Then only 1/16th of this will be 16. So now try to understand when the difference between SI and CI is 1, right? Here it is 1. Then principal has to be 256. But here the difference for 2 years was 144. What will be the principal? Yes, again it's a bit of calculation. 256 multiplied by 144, right? You will have to do it, but then no other way around, right? Actually this is 200 minus 56, this is 200 plus 56. So here you can also understand one thing, a minus b, a plus b is 200 square minus 56 square, right? A square minus b square, a plus b into a minus b. This is a plus b, right? 200, try to understand, 200 plus 56, 256, a plus b, and this is a minus b, 200 minus 56. So a square minus b square, fine. So yeah, this could be easy because 200 square is 40,000 minus 56 square will be 3136. If you know your Vedic mathematics, we have got, that's the beauty of Btitude method, right? We have got that fundamental too, we have got that shortcut too. Just go to that video, Vedic mathematics. I think it is mental maths part 2 or something like that, or mental calculation part 2, where I have given you the idea of Vedic mathematics. But if you know, then you can even figure it out, like it can be represented like this. So what I tried to do was to find the middle number of this, and then a minus b, a plus b, fine. So are you getting this? For example, next time if the question is like 122 into say 136, how will I do it? I'll say, okay, what will be the average? Obviously the difference is 14, so I add 4, 129. Can't you say 129 square minus 7 square, right? It's the same thing. Either you multiply those two, because this is 129 minus 7, this is 129 plus 7. So 129 square minus 7 square, and if you know your Vedic maths, you can easily find out the squares and answer the question. In case somewhere if you need this, you can at least do it, right? So there you go, the answer has to be 36,864, right? 36,864. You can check it, fine, but this is how you could have done it. So the same question as before, but just a bit of extension. Instead of rate, they are asking the sum, and then you know how to do, because that kind of a sum we have already done before. So you will take a replica SICI and then you can figure it out. So look, the questions are really great, really very interesting, but the methods to solve them are out of the world. I can guarantee you this kind of the methods you will not find anywhere on YouTube. Fine? Alright, then let's have an idea. Next question, again you can figure it out on your own first. Let's have an idea. The difference between compound interest and simple interest for 3 years is given as this. Find the rate of interest. Now, this is very interesting question. The difference is given, I would say 3 years, right? So 2 years difference would be around 1/3 of it. We saw that, right? That if the difference was 10 here and 31 for 1 year it was 10, but for 3 years it was 31, right? Are you getting it? So for 3 years it was 31, almost 1/3, even minus 1/3. So its 1/3 would be 300 something, so around 300. So let's assume what would be 300 of this. 300 of this would be 3 by 108. Less than 3%? Less than, no, 300 is only the difference. It's difficult to think of, right? Okay, let's go with the options. Let's go with the options. Maybe 1/3. This is nothing but 1/3. So if this is the, now this is a very good thing. If this is your principal, then it has to be divided by 3 times. 3 into 3 into 3, 27. Yeah, this is actually multiple of 27. So let's write 1/3 of this would be 3600. So SI would always be 3600, 3600. CI would be 3600 for the first year, but next 1/3 of this would be 1200. No, so 1200. The total difference of 3 years is 950. So how can only the 2 years difference be 1200? Not possible. So not this, a bit lesser than this. Maybe 20%. Let's try. 20% is 1/5. If this is divisible by 5 cube, then it can be 5 cube is 125. Is it divisible by 125? No. Then there is no chance. This cannot be the answer. Are you getting this? 25% is 1/4. Is it divisible by 64? No. 64, no. That means because 64 is 2 raised to so many. 2 raised to 64 is 2 raised to 6. I don't think there is 2 raised to 6 here. Maybe, maybe not. No, maybe 4 or 5, not 6. Cannot be. Are you getting this? What I am doing? Try to understand. If this is the answer, that means if this is the answer, sorry, that means 1/4 of this for 3 different years has to be possible. Otherwise, the interest will come into decimals, but here it is very much round figure. That means 1/4 of it must be possible for 3 years. That means this principal should be divisible by 64, which is not the case, so I cancelled that one. What is this? 1/6. 1/6. So that means 6 cube, 216. Is this divisible by 216? Yeah, 108 into 2. So maybe 216. Let's try. 1/6. If the interest is 1/6, interest rate is 1/6. Principal is 10,800. So 1/6 of it would be 18/6, right? 1800. So simple interest will always be 1800. But CI on the other hand, first year it would be 1800. But next year it would be 1800 plus 1/6 of 1800 is 300. 300 is 20. Yeah. 300. Look, I got that figure, right? 300. I told you must be around 1/3 less than 1/3. Yeah, I think that has to be the answer. Now let's check it out. And next year it has to be 2100 plus 1/6 of it. 1/6 of this would be what? 350. So 2450. What is the total difference? 1800. Here there is no difference. Here it is 300 difference, and here it is 650. So total difference is of course 950, right? So that has to be the answer. So I've taken some really amazing questions, and these are difficult questions, and I have not made them. These are kind of the questions which are asked in recent examinations, and that's why I've taken them. Fine. So this is the way you can actually solve them. Again, give it a bit trial and error from the options itself. I understood one thing, that if whatever is the rate, fine, that was the key. If 1/3 is the rate, that means 3 raised to 3. 27 must be its factor, which it was. That's why I tried it, but on the second year itself, the difference between SI and CI was 1200, which was more than 950. That means it was not possible. Then I tried to figure out another one. This is 1/6. That means, are you getting it? If 10,800 is your principal, that means 1/6 of it must be easy to calculate. Not only for 1 year, for 3 years. That means 1/6 into 1/6 into 1/6. That means the number must be divisible by 6 cube, 216. And it was divisible by 216. That's why I tried with it. And it gave me 3 years difference as 950. Fine. So I hope you liked it. Let's move on to the next question. I think this is the last question. Try to figure it out on your own first. Fine. Should be easy. I think till now we have done so many questions on the basis as compared to them. This is quite an easy question. Let's have an idea how we can do it. The ratio of SI and CI is 75:, now we know SI is always same, right? So 75, 25, 25, 25, right? But CI, first year it would be 25. Now it has to increase by some percent. Find by some percent. Now we know as soon as I know 25, I know it. It has to be, this is 5 square. So 1/5 of it maybe, right? That's what we always understand. How do we take the first year compound interest? Because we know it has to be a square of 1/5, then it has to be 25, right? So if it is 25, I know it has to be a perfect square of something like 5. So 1/5 of it, maybe 1/5 of it is 30. 1/5 of this is 6, so 36. Try to understand, is it 91? This is 75, all right. Is this 91? Yes, it is. That means rate of interest, it is increasing by 1/5. So that is 20%. Rate of interest has to be 20%. Again, are you able to get it? We know that we take here, like if it was I would say the interest rate was say 1/6, then we take first year compound interest is 6 square, right? Because for further 2 years we have to calculate 1/6 of it. So as soon as I look 25th, I understood the rate of interest has to be something like 1/5. I just tried it to make sure, and I am getting exactly 91 as my total interest. Fair enough, right? So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you really did, I'm not going to tell you now. Fine, you know what you have to do: like, comment, subscribe, etc. But look, you need to be very clear on your basic of simple interest and compound interest. If you are not, fine, I cannot help it, because right now my objective was for the students who already know the basics, not to teach you the basics. All right. So then this is kind of the way we can actually solve the questions. Fine. All right, then keep watching, keep learning, and keep enjoying.